I'm so excited for this first live that we're doing and hoping to turn this into actual series around scams in the industry, not just in crypto, but kind of across the board. I think Kat has a cool story she's going to tell us today. But so I'm Katie, co-founder and CEO of Babs. Babs is a Web3 growth and user acquisition agency for global. We normally work with clients kind of more on the serious side of Web3, so DeFi, infrastructure, AI, done some decentralized cloud, anything that's a little bit more use case based. Been in the industry since 2019. Babs has been around for about we're going on 4 years now. Something that we're super proud of at Babs is that most of the team has been with us for two, three, all the way since the inception. So very loyal, very proud of our team that we've built. Yeah, I think that's a bit about us. We are building something that by the end of the year, I think will be very strong. Right now it is strong, but it will be even stronger. That is focused very much on data-driven marketing. So how are we using data to make sure we get the best ROI for our clients, and making sure that people aren't just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, which has kind of been the go-to for Web3 for a long time. So yeah, that's just a bit about Babs and myself. And then we just had one of our OGs of Babs join. Like I said, that all of the people at Babs have been with us for a long time. I think Upgar might have been edition number like 5. He's been with us since the very beginning. He's also served as a mentor to myself, helping me through some of the ups and downs of the industry. So yeah, maybe Upgar, do you want to do a little intro now that you're here?
Let's do a little mic check. You hear me?
We hear you.
Okay, we're good. That's a kind way of saying mentoring when it's just relentless trolling. So people have like different management styles. So I'm known mostly in Babs for being a bit of a joker. I'm getting annoyed because there's a fly trolling me in my room, and went from like one meeting to another. But yeah, so yeah, I'm kind of more on the degen side of things. I help out with loads of different things. So officially, the role that I have is like, is kind of community. So head of like, community engagement and that kind of thing. But what I also do is I keep my finger on the pulse. I'm kind of like meme lord, degen in chief, that kind of thing. I've been in the space, bought Bitcoin in 2013, I think, and then really started getting involved in crypto 2017.
Thanks, Upcar. Yes, he is Chief of Vibes and Head of Memes and so much more. So yeah, I've been with Babs over a year now, but I've known Katie for nearly 4 years now. So and I guess for Web3, like longer than a year is an eternity. So Kat, as our guest, we'd love to hear your background. What was your life pre Web3, and what's your incredible journey? And then we'll get to the tea. Then we'll get to your scammer
Yes,
story.
we'll get
So
to
take it
tea.
away, Kat.
Oh man, I don't know. It's been a week. I've been crashing out, but I've been having so much fun. I started in architecture, got my degree in that, was designing high rises and custom homes in Vancouver. Did that for a little bit and then shifted more into fashion. So I got into like local manufacturing and launched a sustainable loungewear line in Vancouver. But then, NFTs were kind of taking off, and I was like, what is this? I kind of like ditched everything, and I was like, hyper focused on Web3. And so I helped launch Coco NFT, which is the platform that turned Instagram posts into NFTs. I was their head of BD, but also their TikToker. So that was really fun. It was like a new experience for me. Actually, prior to Coco NFT, I did not have an iPhone. I was like not really on Instagram, not really on TikTok either. And then now I had like this whole community on TikTok, and it was so fun. So after that happened. I learned a lot there. I got kind of more interested in like the metaverse and really fascinated about virtual worlds and digital ownership just because of the architecture sort of like background. That was fun. And then the metaverse kind of died. So I was like, okay, what's next? And so I got into gaming. I got deeper into that, and I learned how games can be built. I learned about the community, the culture, the language, all the different terms, and like how to play them. So this in 2025, I've just been playing a lot of video games. And then also, yeah, after kind of working in the gaming industry for a little bit, I found some really amazing mentors, which kind of like pushed me more into it. But I felt like I was losing my connection with Web3. And I was like, that's still really important. Like, what's going on there? And like, I kind of took a step away for maybe like 6 months of like not being on Twitter for that long. And I felt like I missed so much. So I was like, okay, I need to get a job in DeFi. Worked there for maybe 8 months. That was really fun, learned a lot. And now I'm kind of building my own project and exploring children's education as a long-term passion. I've gotten really into Roblox and fashion games and a bunch of stuff. And I guess I've always kind of followed creativity and like curiosity. And creativity and curiosity that's like built to last. Not, like when NFTs were there was kind of just this like boom, and then a lot of it wasn't really quite sustainable. But, I guess for me, I'm driven to like designing things that bring value to people, whether that's like physical spaces, digital experiences, or trust on the internet. So that's what I'm building is kind of all around.
That's amazing. I do have a question because we've spoken a bit in the past. So I remember there's other projects, OG projects, NFT projects you were part of that I think a lot of people will know and they still care about. And also when you were blowing up a bit on TikTok, you had someone's team reach out to you. Can you talk about that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It does feel like a little bit weird to talk about it. Like, I don't know. I guess do I have to talk about it? I just feel like I don't necessarily.
Okay,
I don't know.
no, that not that tea today. That might be for another episode. But you are part of some amazing communities that are, it's almost like it's almost a bad word to say in our industry now. But I mean, it's like art takes the risk. Art leads a lot, and then a lot of industries follow after that experimentation. So yeah, maybe you can talk about that at least.
Yeah, I mean, experimentation. Sorry, wait, what was that? I've like a little ADHD here.
That's okay. I was talking about some of the OG NFT communities you were part of getting some really cool things off the ground.
Oh, right. Yeah. I mean, there was a couple like NFT projects, like Women Rise NFT was one that was really interesting. Something I was really passionate about. The artist had just found me off of like TikTok. Same with several other companies, businesses, brands, top Web3 like platforms. And this was all when I was only having like 300 views per video. So that was really exciting to kind of like be a part of all these communities so early, and then being able to do partnerships, collaborate, strategize, and then see that impact to execution. So that part I really enjoy, but where I get frustrated, where I kind of hold back on talking about it a little bit is seeing, okay, now that we're like 5 years down the line, some of the stuff wasn't sustainable and it wasn't like long last. I mean, it was sustainable. It was just used in a slightly different manner. So yeah, anyhow.
Okay. Well, thanks for that background. And while we're here to get scammer stories because our industry, I mean, every industry is rife with them, but as disruptors, we bring disruptive scammers along with us. So I think you've got a few scammer stories and we've got a couple today. So Upkar, you've not heard these, so this is a first time for you. So any questions you have, like I've got more even though I've heard this story. But Kat, you've got I think a recent story that happened to you while you were traveling.
Oh yeah, okay. So honestly, quite a few this year, which I'm like, what is going on? But also I'm like, if these had never happened, how would I have ever come up with solutions? Terrible. But anywho, so I was traveling in April, going to, I think, like Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, and a couple other places in Asia. And my wallet was hacked. I think I noticed like someone doing like some movements through my emails. I kept getting like all these like, change your password. I was like, I don't want to change my password. And then I was like, I think I saw on my phone, someone had like connected. I was like, what is going on here? And then I had like tried to disconnect it all. It was like so stressful, but I was also just having the best time eating street food in Jakarta. So I'm like, honestly, like I think I just threw my phone at that point and I was like, I just need to eat right now. And so it was frustrating because all that was happening and I had disconnected. I was like, something's going on. I tried to cancel everything. And then like 2 weeks later, I was like, you know what? I want to change my PFP. I haven't changed my PFP in like what, 4 years. I want to just like, I need to say resave the photo and like make a little updates. I go to my wallet and I still have everything there. I was like, okay, like $300 in ETH is missing. Like, where did that go? And then I was scrolling, looking, I had like tons of NFTs in there and like all my favorite ones were gone. And I was like, what the heck? And I looked at like Etherscan and the transaction history and like someone had hacked into my wallet. And I was like, that is so like, I freaked out. I was like, still in Asia and I'm like panicking and I was like everything's gone, like what is happening, like all my favorite ones. I mean, not everything was gone, but everything that like had a lot of value to me, like some of these had no value, which was like weird because I was like,
Can I backtrack a bit on
oh
that
yeah.
note? So you were traveling, and were you even posting? Did anyone publicly know that you were traveling? Were you posting it on Insta or on Twitter or
I mean,
X?
yeah, like
And then also, all the notifications, did you think they were fake notifications or you knew they were from the legit software? And then were you just in a place where you thought there's nothing that valuable there? If someone wants to take it, they can. It's already too late. Or did you just not want to deal with it?
I think I obviously want to be secure and I want my assets and everything that I own to, be where they are. But honestly, yeah, like during that moment, I was like, okay, some of the stuff that I get, I'm like, this is obviously a scam. But like some of the things, like when I'm getting like change your password on my different emails, I'm like, this looks kind of serious. So I didn't click anything, but I also was like, I should change my password. And then I did, there's like that function, in like Gmail, and then also like on your phone, you can see who's like connected. I was like, this is like a random country. So I was like, okay, disconnect. And then I was getting more notifications and I don't know, like I do get sad and stressed and whatnot, but also like I don't know, like I was just having a good time with family, friends. I was also working as well too. I moderated a panel with in Malaysia with some brands and like it was just all really exciting and I was like really frustrated about the hack and scan and I wanted to stay secure, but I was like, I'm over this. I was
Life
just
was
on my phone.
happening
Yeah.
and you were so busy. But
Yeah.
you pointed out something. Not all your NFTs, not the most valuable, but your favorite. What does that
Yeah.
mean? And how
I don't know.
many?
Like, I was like, I don't know. I was like, I wonder if this was like intentional. I wonder if it's someone that I know or someone who's like followed my content. So I'm like, should I be more private on the internet? Like, I probably could, or I could just increase my security, right? Like, I think people, like, the internet is filled with so many things and like the type of content that I want to consume like genuine creators, right? So I think, I don't want to really change maybe who I am on the internet, but I think I would like to be more safe and secure.
I just want to say that they actually knew which ones were your favorite and went after them. That's what's crazy. And the thing about kind of like having your online profile is they definitely, because I'll get to my story in a minute, but mine was definitely because they knew what my profile is in terms of what I work, not just being in Web3, but like specifically my role at the company and in Web3 and how they came after me. They didn't look for my NFTs, they looked for something else. So that's
Mm.
just insane. I mean, that's just crazy to me.
Right? Like so I'm like, okay, like I'm so curious like who it is, but I also am like, like I remember being devastated that morning and like walking down the stairs and two of my aunties were making breakfast. Like great aunties and they're in their like 70s and they're like, "What is wrong? Like you look so sad." And I'm like, "Someone stole my favorite PFP." And like she like looked at me and she was like, "I have no idea what that is." She's like, "Help me open this coconut." And I was like, "Okay." Like, so it really puts things kind of into perspective as well too, but also like, there's certain things that we just can't change and like, where the internet is evolving and like ownership. I like it's so important. And I mean, I think now I'm like, okay, now my brain's going and I'm like, okay, like that sucked. That was like a terrible experience. And I know it's happened to several other people. Some people like don't want to share these experiences because you kind of look like an idiot sharing them, but like, I don't know,
Yeah.
like I've dodged a couple here and there, but like life happens, life is short, whatever. But not whatever. Um, yeah, I guess like that happened. I was upset. But there was like positives of it. So I like posted on Twitter and I was like, honestly, like, oh, okay, like I should be more private. Here I am. I got scammed. I had a little crash out on the internet, my first crash out on the internet. Like, oh, it felt so good. Um, so that happened, and I found out who stole my number one favorite NFT. Or actually, they didn't. I didn't find out who stole it, but who had it, who ended up buying it. And honestly, like we still chat, and I just have not like he's like, I'll just send it to you, like, whenever you want and, like, whenever you're ready. And I'm like, just hold it safe for me because you might do a better job of that at the moment. So, some person that I've never met on the internet is holding my favorite NFT for me. So, it kind of worked out. And that's the only thing that I really cared about. So, but do I trust this person? Like, honestly, I don't know, but I am.
So did you have to, you looked at the transactions on Etherscan, you then went to OpenSea to see if they'd connected their social to their OpenSea account? Is that how you found who that wallet belonged to? Like, how did you know?
Oh yeah, I just kind of like you can kind of like see like I just creeped all the different like wallets, and then eventually I found like the one wallet that was like holding it because it went through I think like they just basically resold my NFT for not even that much. Not even that much. Like I was like, how dare you hack me and then or scam me and then sell it for like $20? Like ow. Like but whatever, like
Bad
ah,
scammers. They're not making a lot of money,
I know they're
honestly.
not.
This
But
sounds
they're like
so
they're
personal. I'm sorry. What do you think of, Kat? What do you think of all this? Because it's the first time you've heard this.
So I think it was interesting what you were saying, Kat, about like, okay, this has happened. So what changes do I need to make? You know, you don't want to, like, I am me. I don't want to like change how I live my life, but I don't really want to have it happen again. And I was just thinking, you
mm,
know, like what Jess was saying in terms of OPSEC, there's technical things you could do. You know, a lot of people that have their NFTs in like a hardware wallet where you have to do loads of different stuff. The private key can't be exposed and all that kind of stuff. But more the softer things in terms of travel. So for example, when I do like travel, I won't say exactly when I'm going to do it. So if I'm doing something public, I'm like, okay, I'm going to, XYZ location, but I won't say what time I'm going to be there,
mm,
unless it's like something that I'm going to this conference and they know like at 5:30 p.m. I'll be at this conference center at a certain date. I don't see that as problematic in the same way as because this kind of happened when you were in the air, right? You were kind of in between and traveling, and that's like the worst. So the timing of that was really, so it's
mhm.
the equivalent of like the burglar knowing when you've left your house and going to the house, right? So, I would be, I'm going to this place, but I'm not going to say, what flight I'm getting or when I'm going to the airport, all that kind of stuff of like, look, this is me on my way to the airport. Maybe you could just avoid those kind of things and just say, oh, I'm going to this conference, and be vague about, what route you're taking and what time you're leaving. So, they would be more difficult for them to do that because I'm thinking those are the kind of OPSEC things that I do myself.
Mhm.
But I fully,
Totally. I honestly could totally up my security game for sure. But then I thought, I was like thinking about all of these. I was like, okay, like this is clearly like a problem. Like I'm just a consumer girly in an infrastructure world. I want to make TikToks. I want to like post things, but I'm not posting my exact location, but I'm like, oh, here's a picture. But I don't like, is someone like, I would never zoom. I mean, maybe if I was crazy, but like, there's certain things I wouldn't do, but obviously the internet, there's so many people out there. So then I thought, okay, like blockchain is for like we have ZK technology, which is like person to person verification without a middleman. Like, what can we do? How can we build this underlying technology and then start applying it to the internet to create, more meaningful connections, but also have that increased security? So, like, yeah, like that was like kind of crazy, but I'm like, okay, now how can I start building this? So now I've like joined like a hackathon and I'm like, with all, I don't know if you guys heard of T app and like what happened like a couple weeks ago. Yeah, so I think
No,
like
Yeah,
women
tell the
I,
internet if they
I
haven't
don't
heard
yet because
already.
I haven't heard it.
yeah, so like there was this app that was like created where women it's basically for women's safety, right? And I guess they were rating
Mhm.
men and their like experiences with them. And I mean, don't quote me on like how it actually happened, but it got hacked, but technically you didn't even really have to hack it. The information was already there that people could access, and they shared these women's locations and addresses and like
Okay.
mapped it out. and posted on the internet. So something that was supposed to protect women from men ended up just like causing more harm to them, right? However, if they had this underlying technology, that would not have happened. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
basically the guy who made the T app. He vibe coded it. Um, so, that's one of the
So what was his
challenges.
intention with making it? His intention with making it was to be shady?
No, it was he like in the interviews. It was something like his mum kept dating like really bad guys, and he was just like, "Oh, it would be great if there was some kind of way of just vetting people in a different way." So that's where the thought
Yeah.
came from. But I mean, the whole T app is like super problematic because there's no verification of that information. And, like, if someone put like your information on some app without your permission, like it's really personal details. So it's like no, in Europe, we have GDPR. It's like very problematic, all of it. So from start to finish, there's like lots of considerations that could have been handled better. But it was just done really quickly, vibe coded, and then it just went viral and super popular. And it got too big for what it should have been.
Hmm.
If it was just like 500 people in a local circle using it, probably nothing would have happened. But because it went viral
Yeah.
and they weren't really following all the privacy, and legal laws everywhere, then it became a target, and they ended up like that.
This has inspired you to build something. What are you working on at the moment?
Yeah, so I've kind of been working, I mean, I've been thinking about this concept for the last 3 or 4 years, and I've failed miserably trying to start it because it was the underlying tech that I couldn't quite figure out. However, I started building these 3D worlds, I blah, 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 figuring out the concepts, the economics, how does this work, how can people connect, create, and earn. It's been a lot, but after that experience I was like, okay, you know what, like, what is decentralization about? What how can we use blockchain technology? Okay, there's zk technology, I don't really understand it, but I feel like it's important. So I was like, okay, now, the last couple months I've been working on this game slash social app that's focused on trust. So the core idea is using ZK technologies to have person-to-person verification without a middleman, right? So basically, like, we trust banks, we trust platforms, we trust companies to verify what's real. And so I feel like people should be able to just verify with each other directly with no central authority, which I feel like that's what we were talking about years ago. So I think it would be really cool to be able to like trust someone online the same way you do it like in person. And yeah, and basically I've been trying to figure out, okay, what is this like MVP? And so I joined a hackathon and I decided that this MVP could be a dating app or a social game. Because dating apps, I know it's very, um, there's a lot of them out there, but I don't think any out there with ZK technology. And I think dating apps is something that everyone can understand, not just people in Web3, not just people uh, with advanced degrees. I think anyone can really understand dating and relationships and like connection. And I think that it could be a fun way to communicate the importance of this technology. So basically, I'm really trying to make the internet safer, more human, more transparent, and also provide like more meaningful connections, niche experiences, things that are really
Hmm.
more catered and customed to the individual.
But from your mock-ups, I also see not just the technology, but your approach and the humor that you're putting into it. I see a lot of you
Yeah, I
in
like,
what I've seen, and I think that's important too. It's like being authentic, and that's something I really like about Web3 because it's such a new disruptive space. We really get to mold our roles and place. It's not so cookie cutter, pigeonholed yet. Like our roles, even at Babs, were so niche and then also so mastered in many things. We're so multi-skilled, and I see that in you as well. I see how your career trajectory ha- isn't, it's like a web. It's not a clear path. It's like a web, and this web is the structure that makes you very versatile. And your personality and your humor is important too. So yeah, like what were some of the
oh, red
examples?
flags. So the onboard, I did all the UX UI. I mean, I didn't do all the, it's not done yet, but like the onboarding part of it, like you open the app, you pick friends or lovers, and then after that, you have a list of categories like lifestyle, ambition, religion, all these categories, but then under that you have red flags. So you connect based on red flags. So things are like, oh, I'm a workaholic, or like I'm constantly oversharing, or like I'm always late. So you can pick all these different types of flags. And then like the technology underneath that perhaps is like maybe verifying that like you and another person, a potential match, have compatibility or like similar flags there, but you don't have to actually reveal what your flaws are. But you can if you decide to verify with that with each other. So that's kind of what I've been getting into lately. After you pick your red flags, you can then post a hot take, which is, you know, maybe something controversial, maybe something witty, or if you can't think of something, I'll also be adding AI options underneath under like particular categories, so we make it a little bit easier. After the putting in your hot take, you have your user profile creation. So this part is like kind of fun and playing around with like, okay, yeah, it's a 2D app, dating app, social game, but like, how am I also going to transition this into like a game, into like a Roblox, right? So now thinking about ZK technologies and like, okay, how does this work? And like, how can I kind of put some of these things together? Another reason, like, okay, like maybe you're creating your profile and you need to verify your location or your age or like other items, right? So you like upload this like information and you can use ZK technology to keep it secure and private and like not release that information without let's say I built this game, I'm the company, the corporation, and I want to collect and take all this data so I can, who knows what I'll do with it. But no, I'm not trying to do that. I want you to have these interactions with each other and I don't need to know about it. Like I love the gossip, I love the tea, but like I don't need to know. So maybe that's something. Like I'm still working on it. Like clearly this isn't like a one stop, like, you know, it's like kind of a lot, but there's been progress and now there's been tangible progress in the face of a like consumer app that's just kind of becoming a bit more real. So yeah.
So that's so cool. So right now, where it's like it's past MVP or it's still MVP stage? Like, do you
Oh,
have people data?
I'm in prototype stage still.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're in
Yeah,
prototype.
like the ZK
Okay,
tech is like actually it's very complicated and you have to explicitly write the code because I'm also trying to figure out because I'm like basically ZK is all about like trust, right? But what
hmm
are like how can ZK be exploited? And obviously there's so many ways that we don't know how ZK can be exploited. It's also new technology, right? So is it tested?
right.
Like I don't know. And so with this ZK technology, what I learned this week is like you have to explicitly code it, or else it could potentially like, yeah, I don't know. It's complicated. I'm still figuring it out. Yeah.
Are you actually coding, or you have a team that's doing all this?
It's me and I have like a couple mentors. I'm not
Okay.
a coder, but I feel like I've been learning, but I wouldn't, and I've been vibe coding a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's how I've just been learning. But I have some really incredible like engineers around me who are like, okay, like Kat's a little stubborn and like here's some mentorship and like guidance, but also like I would like to build a team. And I would like
Yeah.
to hire, I would like to, you know, maybe raise around or something. But like for now, I'm still in like prototype stage. I could keep yapping.
I was just going to say, it's like the whole trust, the whole point of this kind of series talking about scams is that is the underlying thing that's happening, especially in Web3, is this whole trust bit. Like if you can come up with a product that, okay, you start with dating, but then after dating, it could go into something like investment. How do you trust who you're working with in terms of investment,
Mhm.
or people that want to mentor or whatever, people that come into your circle? Because that's a huge part of what I feel is, especially as at Babs is a growing company, you want to bring people into your circle that you think can help. But and sometimes you're so like, oh, this person's so great, they sell themselves so well, they've worked on this project. But how do you really vet that beyond, you can look it up, you can kind of think that what they said is true, what they're selling you is true, but then all of a sudden you're like, I'm not sure it is. Are they a ghost? Are they not a ghost? You know what I mean? So if you're coming up
Yeah.
with something that can build, that can become more, that's allowing us to like build this ecosystem of trust, I think that would be amazing. I
Yeah.
think that's what I run into.
Yeah. And exactly. And the thing as well too is, for instance, like we get really busy, right? And sometimes we may not always have time to build that deeper connection with somebody. However, there is an
Mhm.
exchange there that we need. But how can we be like, okay, you know what? Like I need one of your services and I need $5,000, but I've never seen you, I've never talked to you, I don't know
Yeah.
what you're like, I haven't built that relationship, but I need this thing done and you need something from me. So it's like
Right.
I no longer like it kind of removes that layer as well too, and we also become more efficient. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in a place where sometimes I will want to know two human IRL contacts when being introduced for certain things. And yeah, I actually, I'm maybe overcautious now, but I'm also obsessed with cybersecurity. And what some of them are not just Web3, they're just day to day, like paying for your parking meter. Like the QR code on there has been covered up with another QR code. And we're so busy that we don't notice those things in life, which is what happened to you, Kat. You were just so busy. And yeah, having intros from people you actually know in Web3, I value that so much. And actually,
Yeah.
Katie, you mentioned you
like,
had a story. Is this on intros or is this on a wallet or
oh,
It's on intros, actually, if we talk about
okay.
intros. So I'll tell my story real quick. I mean, it's kind of a long story, but reached out to me because he saw that I ran an agency and that this was maybe 2 years ago. And maybe it was even more. I think it was something like 2 years ago. And he saw that I had shared a project. Someone was asking about like investment. So I said that he was from a Swiss investment bank. And so I took the call and he said that he represented people that had a lot of interest in diversifying their portfolio and they were looking to invest. So I was like, okay, well, send me the link. I looked at the link. They seemed pretty legit. All of the people you could find on LinkedIn. This was crazy. So I thought, okay. So I shared a couple projects. So they needed to offload a certain amount of money before whatever date it was. So they would need to invest up to like 25 million, which is crazy. Um, so I said, well, we had like 4 projects at that time if they were interested. They asked for really deep due diligence, which was crazy. So some of the founders even talked to them. They wanted to see like the numbers of the company. And then he said, look, for the next steps, let's meet in person. So I was like, okay, I'm in Europe, and he wanted to meet in Italy. But beforehand, we did an MOU. They sent us like a passport. He sent me his passport so we could put it in, like a photo of it, everything. Like it was so well done. And then, so I thought, okay, well, they were going to pay for my trip to Italy and everything. So I thought, okay, whatever, we'll pay for it because that's kind of weird. We paid for it. I went, which now that you tell this, I tell the story, I think, how crazy were we? We went, we had the MOU, we had all these documents done. We had talked to some lawyers, everything. And, and then I got there, we met, and 2 guys with very well dressed, they were Swiss, but they of course spoke Italian as well, but I speak Spanish, so they were attempting to speak between each other. I could understand that. And then they switched to French, which is harder for me, obviously, to catch. So I came with a contract for them to transfer the money, everything. They were like, okay, this looks good. This was in the morning. They wanted to meet at night because they were going to they had some other meetings to do and they had to run the contract through their board. And it felt all super real. And then when we had dinner that night, he was like, okay, so if you just open a wallet, and then this is the wallet we'll use to move the crypto. Oh, and this is in the second part. And then they said, and we get a finder fee, but the finder fee you have to pay, you can't pay out of the money we sent, which makes sense, right? So I was like, okay. And then they said, but we need to know the wallet it's coming from. So we need to see that there's the finder fee in that wallet. And then that was where I thought there's something wrong. And then I think it was my co-founder, Nastia, found online that there was the start of this scam, which is they ask you to set up a wallet. And then once you set up, and then they say, just share because you share the wallet address. Anyone can see what's in your wallet. Somehow they drain the wallet physically because they asked to meet physically. So there's some sort of
which
tech
is
they're using.
insane. That's
Insane.
insane.
So when he asked me to set up the wallet, I said, no, I don't do that. But we can talk about something else to prove that we have the funds to give you the finder fee, but it would, or put it into escrow, put it into escrow accounts so neither of us can touch it, whatever. There's multiple ways you can do this, but I'm not setting up an account. So when we got back, they just started, when I got back to Spain, they called me incessantly, like, and it was so much pressure. I was like losing my mind on the pressure because it was like, if you don't do this, we're not going to do the transfer. And I'm thinking, oh my God, there's all this money and these clients that want to raise money. And it was in the, the environment where people were struggling to raise. One of our clients who was expecting the investment started, he was like, give me their phone numbers, give me everything. And he started sleuthing and found an article that the guy I had been talking to that was freaking insanely pressuring me, had been published in an article about doing this. And I found, yeah, so he had scammed another Web3 founder out of 200 grand and another one out of 1 million.
What?
Yes.
Where are
So
these
then,
people?
This
What are you
is
talking
such a
about?
yes, it
sophisticated
gets so
long
crazy.
con. This is the long con.
I've told some people, because at the time I think I was like losing my mind, so I probably like was telling some of the team, I'm so stressed. But then the crazy thing is, so I reached out to the guy in the article and he said, did you get pictures? I said, no, I mean, who's taking pictures at like a business meeting? Obviously, he didn't take pictures of the guy. Like, because they said there's something so advanced with the tech they're using. They're not draining a wallet like hacking it. They're doing it at the spot, because the people that will set up the wallet to prove they have the funds,
Oh,
they drain
okay.
it. Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's crazy. So then he said, I'll send you pictures. Tell me if these are them. And then I'm deleting them right away. So we did it. And they weren't the guys I spoke to. And because we also do PR, I talked to our head of PR at the time. I'm like, I want to expose this. This is ridiculous. We need to expose this. So I wanted this guy, I think his name is Chris, to tell me his story and all the other people. He said, no one will talk because they're so terrified that like they'll come after their families. I didn't get that vibe from these guys, and I'm not scared of it. I mean,
Because there was a very high stakes with the story Katie just told. There's also high stakes with yours, Kat. But there's this element of busyness, pressure, urgency, distraction, and that's the psychology of a scam. So I spoke to someone here in Paris, and maybe one day he can come on and talk. He's started a few companies, and he's got a cyber education company, and he teaches B2G, B2B, like governments and businesses, how, like, it's like what a data protection officer would do, but more on the security side, and these best practices. And he said emotions are such a huge part of a scam, because if you think someone you care about is in trouble, you think your reputation is at stake, or you think you're about to lose out on a really good opportunity, and they use this urgency that you don't check the links, or that you're not as thorough and diligent as you usually are. And the advice he gave to me is slow down. And even if it's such a small thing, make the most minor inconvenience for them and watch them lose their minds. And then, if they start getting unprofessional, and I've tested it like for fun when I've had like call scams, and just how they start. I'm like, oh, I work there too. Oh, let me check the database. I'm in the data protection scene of the company, and I just pretend I'm from their same company. And they're like, what are you doing? No. And I'm like, this is very interesting. Can you stay on the line just a bit longer? And I actually made the scammer on the phone, get really scared and start swearing at me. But yeah, the psychology is super important. So, yeah, and like Katie, you said at the time, you don't want to tell anyone, because you're like, how did this happen? How did this happen to me? But I think talking about it is important for our industry and just people, because in any industry, whatever they're doing, because there's just more and more and more advanced scams. And I think talking about it and just getting it in like the general consciousness of people, like what are best practices, that it almost becomes second nature. Well, I think everyone is going to get scammed at a certain point in their life, or almost get scammed. I think it's almost unavoidable at this point. And Okar.
yeah, it's like the stuff you learn. Upgar, you have to have a scam.
Do you have a scam, or should we save it for another day? Should we save some tea for another episode?
I don't have these like international espionage level scams. I think you ladies I don't live that kind of life. I'm not like a international man of mystery. The thing that I wanted to make a comment on, however, is I think in like the normal world, a scam is pretty clear cut. But for some reason, in Web3, if someone steals money from you, there will be an army of infinite people that will just say, no, that's not a scam. That's how it's supposed to work. That's on you, actually. And then there's like the whole recourse thing, which is if someone like I saw a recent post from Zach XBT where he talked a little about this, and he was saying that law enforcement, if it's less than $100,000 worth of, they'll just close the case. So can you imagine if you just go to your local police station and say, hey, someone just robbed me for $95,000, and they're like, good luck, mate. 95. Yeah, we don't get out of bed for less than 100K. So it's just, I just feel that the definition of a scam is something that we need to work on in Web3. Like what you guys talk about, Kat, someone going into your wallet, taking your property without your permission and just, selling it for like way under the market value. That's pretty clear cut. And then UKT, where all of that's just that's also pretty clear cut. It's like international, it's falsification, fake documents, all of that kind of stuff. But let's look at that guy, the Mango Markets attacker. He was just like, it's just a very profitable trading strategy, and if you set up your market in this way, but he took a loan fully not intending to pay it back, and then just stole the money out of the protocol.
I have so many friends that have stories, and a lot of them, their attitude was, and they lost thousands of ETH or like really high stakes OG NFTs, and even though they're devastated, they're like, I'm actually impressed that they did it, because I'm still not quite sure how. Some of them, they almost are like fair game. Like it's like the Wild West out here in Web3.
Yeah, okay, there's scammers, and then, there's like, you can dive deep into what is good, what is bad, right? But at the same time, I think it really all just like boils down into like looking internally and like, what are my values? What do I want to do? What do I want to create? What is the world that I want to live in?
Well, we live in a world where people are doing this, and some are doing it out of desperation or having not many other options. And other than the people who are like, I'm actually impressed that they like wrecked my wallet. They're like, are almost like, wow, like good for them. And then there's also this attitude of, why are they doing that? Is it just because they can? And for some people maybe, and some people it's because they need to. And that's what he's saying, like, why does this exist? So it's one, protecting yourself, having the knowledge, but also understanding the world we live in and how the technological landscape changes how we deal with people on a human level. And maybe what you're building, Kat, is trying to put an ethical lens on using the tech to help this trust. And things can start off very lighthearted, like it starts off as a dating app, and Katie said you could have an agile build where it just gets bigger and bigger, and it turns into something that can really help decision making when you're negotiating.
That's very nice. That's a good way to start wrapping up. I think one of the things that you said too, Upgar, is what is our industry and like what do we want it to mean and symbolize. So I hope when we look at projects, for example, at Babs, we're trying to look at projects that are actually interested in doing well. We've tried to make a commitment to understand that we don't want to work with projects that are going to rug. I mean, Johnny, who's the head of strategy, I always talk to him like, what sounds super good? And he always says to me, it's just words, Katie. It's just words. Because it's like, until we see it working, until we see it functioning, until it's out there, you can't trust anything, which just totally sucks about our industry. But at the same time, we're building really cool things, and you see really great stuff like what you're working on, Kat. So I'm just crossing my fingers that at some point we'll be, but I mean, look at Wall Street. Wall Street's still rugging people, and it's been around forever.
Katie, of everything that you've been saying, I'm like, my brain's going. So yeah.
So if anyone's listening out there, we will soon be taking in community stories as well. But we have a long, juicy lineup of Scammer Story. So thank you, everyone.
Unfortunately.
And thanks. Yeah, unfortunately, but also I think the awareness is good. So I'm happy people feel comfortable to share their stories. So thank you, Kat, for joining us, and thank you, Katie. We'll see you soon enough with another Scammer Storytime. Thanks, everyone.